Maybe. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Transition Talks Live Strategic Veteran production. We're here today with Mr. Brian Radliff, the Program Manager for Cyber Vets at the IVMF, the Dianello Institute for Veterans and Military Families. I always fuck that up. No big deal. But he's gonna talk to us about the new Google Cybersecurity program that's being funded by Google for veterans. He gave me access to the AI courses that come with that. They're pretty useful. And I thought we'd use this as an opportunity to introduce, the entire audience and all of you veterans out there that may be tuning in to what IVMF is and what it can do for you, particularly as somebody who's benefiting from, a second program that they put on. I'll be headed to Philly to go do the in-person portion of the entrepreneur boot camp for veterans. And so I'm really excited about this stuff. I'm learning a ton. It's forcing me out of my comfort zone and teaching me a bunch of shit I would have never gone and learned on my own. So I'd like to welcome Brian Radliff. And Brian, man, thanks for being here. Thanks for reaching out and wanting to talk about this stuff and turn all the veterans on to this, man.
Hey, thanks, Adam. I really appreciate you having me on today. And I'm really excited about talking today. I mean, one of the challenges that a lot of veterans have when you get out is finding that next so what in your life, right? So, I'm fortunate. I've got quite a few so what's that I'm doing right now, but this is my main so what is trying to take the experience I've had and all the knowledge that I've learned throughout my transition and trying to get that back to those veterans that have either are in a process of transition now or and the thing is transition is not a one-time thing. It's just like learning. So it's a lifelong process, right? So everybody's at a different stage, but the great thing I love about the Institute for Veterans Military Family is it has something for everyone, no matter what stage in transition you're at, whether you're, and not just if you're the service member, all of our programs are also for spouses of service members. So service members, veterans, Guard and reservists, and then all their spouses are all eligible for any of our programs. And the awesome thing is they're at no cost. Our institute is grant funded. So our team does the work to go out and find the funders that want to take care of the veteran connected community. And we provide those resources to get you where you need to be in your life.
This is awesome, man. So let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about IVMF, what it is, what programs you offer, and then we'll dive deep into the Google cybersecurity stuff because I know that's like your favorite world as the cyber vets guy over there at IVMF.
Yeah, sure. So Institute of Veterans and Military Family, give you a quick little background history. So Dr. Haney, who's our vice chancellor, he's also the founder of our institute, was a professor over in our Whitman School of Business. He was an entrepreneurship professor. He's a veteran himself, spent, I think, 14 or 15 years in the Air Force. And back actually, when I first met him back in 2007-8, when I was stationed here in Syracuse, he started a program called Entrepreneurial Boot Camp for Veterans, so EBV. So that was what we call our flagship program. So during the summers, he was taking veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan that had injuries and disabilities, and we're looking at getting into the business world. We'll bring them in, put them through a rapid boot camp. Work out their business plan, teach them get them above business 101, and then connect them with funding opportunities to get their businesses up and running. So that was kind of the flagship. So he received a couple grants afterwards. So they expanded that program. Not only Syracuse runs that, but we have a whole consortium of universities throughout the country that mirror that program. But we do all the recruitment and connection, but there's, depending on where you live, you don't have to necessarily. I think you just said you're getting ready to go to the program in Philly, right?
I am, yeah. So, and to your point, it's all paid for. I have to pay for the ride share from the airport to the hotel and from the hotel back to the airport Sunday when I leave. The entire week taken care of, everything. So it's been an amazing program, man, because it's forced me, I set out to be an entrepreneur just like winging it. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to build something. I want to do something internet-based, right? And then hooked up with an ACP mentor who also went through the EBV program, so pushed me to get into EBV. But by doing that, he put me into the Boots to Business reboot first, which is kind of like I would just kind of call it a teaser to what EBV is. And so EBV, I thought it was going to be a lot more work. I guess, that's kind of relative depending on who you are as a person, but you have to commit to like 6 hours a week, I think is what they tell you when they brief you and do your intake interview to kind of select if you're going to get into the program. And it's really a lot more reading than it is anything, but the worksheets and the business owner's profile workbook or whatever, man, that thing has been so enlightening to me, and it's really forced me to think about the direction I'm going to go. And I don't think it's something I would have arrived at on my own. I think I would have figured that out too late. So I have nothing but great things to say about the program. I'm going to Philly with the motivation I want to win the pitch competition. Like that's the next goal, right? Like it was getting into EBV, it was giving it my all to EBV, and now it's like, phase 2, let's go win this pitch competition. I have no guarantees that that's going to happen. I've never pitched anything in my life, but I'm having a ton of fun with it, man. And I want to share these programs with everybody because they're so awesome.
That's great. Because what you're talking about right there. So going back to our flagship was entrepreneurship stuff, right? So in fact, as we were saying earlier, back in 2010, 2011, when DoD was kind of starting to have the drawdown and mass exodus, and the DoD was paying $1 billion in unemployment service benefits to service members getting out. Dr. Haney and the IVMF, in conjunction with DoD and SBA and Department of Labor, designed the Boots to Business program as part of the TAP program. So we helped develop that in conjunction with the SBA. Now the IVMF still runs the overseas Boots to Business program for those service members getting out at overseas installation, but the SBA has taken that over CONUS-wise and are doing those presentations either through VBOX, which are area small business SBA centers, or on the installation. So, but
I didn't know they were putting that in TAP. But originally, it wasn't in TAP when I went through. I didn't really go through TAP either, but it's cool to know that they're still doing it overseas, and I wish they would put it back into TAP because it is actually an extended. So it depends on which track you go in, but it is actually still offered, as I said, through TAP. But the SBA is now running that versus we used to run it, I think 13 through about 17. And then now, as I said, we just run it for the as part of the TAP programs for overseas. So it is still available. But as you said, for those that didn't necessarily take that, if they got a little business, they can do the reboot, which is also, we help develop that program. So you got your entrepreneurship in the IVMF. We got about 18 to 20 programs there. Then in about 2011, we started with our trainee education. So it was a program called VCTP, Veterans Career Transition Program, that we got a grant through the Schultz Family Foundation and through JP Chase Morgan, which were a couple of our we've got about, I think we're sitting at about 90 or so major funders, and JP Chase Morgan, as by the name of our institute now, the Daniel and Gail Dianello family. So Mr. Dianello is a Syracuse alumni, was a Navy veteran, has done very well in the business world, big portfolio, and has actually donated a number. In fact, he donated about half the startup fund for the NVRC, and also donated, I think, about a $25 million endowment for the institute to help keep these kind of programs running. So between his endowment, all the other, the JP Chase Morgans, the Schultz Family Foundations, the Pfizers, the Walmarts, we've got a phenomenal number of partners. Not, like I said, 90 major funders that help pay for all these programs. So entrepreneurship, VCTP, which is now called Outward Opportunity. So we had that funding through about 17, and then they upgraded the program to the Outward Opportunity program. That's the second of our pillars. We've got a community service program that goes into communities, and it's a community navigator that brings, we said there's a lot of resources out there, and some of them aren't at the best interest of service members. Well, this community service program actually goes in and evaluates cities or communities, and then will connect service members with valid services for those veterans. So whether it be education, housing, medical service, so forth, a number of communities throughout the country that have that program. And then the last thing is, which is what all of our a lot of our information is based off. We got a huge research wing. We are, Syracuse is an R1
University. So all things veteran related, whether it be employment or, what services they need or businesses, so forth. We got a whole research wing that does all kinds of research for veteran related issues, and they work with the Department of Labor, the VA, the federal government, state, local, a number of our partners like Blue Star Families, USO, a lot of those other very, valid, awesome VSOs that are out there that are looking to do great things for the veteran community. So those are the 4 pillars. And then the other great thing on the backside is our higher education and the university. And that's kind of one of the things that drew me back to Syracuse, was just seeing how, we've had 2 chancellors, Chancellor Tully back in when during World War II, that brought all the World War II vets to Syracuse and put their GI Bill to use and really grew the program. And then our current chancellor that in 2014 said he wanted to make Syracuse University the most veteran-friendly university in the country. And quite honestly, he's done an absolutely phenomenal job. And you can just see it everywhere that you look on campus. 6% of the Syracuse campus is veteran related. So it's either, and that's talking, oops, sorry about that. Got a little excited there.
Yeah.
Whether it be the students, the faculty, and then the institute, 6% of the population is connected to the veteran community in some way, shape, or form, which is phenomenal. And the university has been rated the top private veteran-friendly university in the country a number of years through a number of publications. So they really are doing a great job. In the building here that I work in, top floor is the IVMF. That's all the outward-facing programs. The middle floors are 2 ROTC units, Air Force and Army. Air Force, one of the oldest ones in the country. Army actually just became the largest detachment in the Northeast, just surpassed Penn State this past year as the largest Army ROTC detachment. And then the bottom floors are our Office of Veterans Military Affairs. So we call it the OVMA. That's all the internal programs that take care of all those students and faculty, on campus to be able to harness the power of the veterans programs on Syracuse University.
I wish somebody would have told me University of Syracuse was doing all this when I got out 10 years ago, because, man, the programs, I think it's probably fair to say you probably have the most veterans on campus, period, of any college, I would guess.
It's like I said, it's 6% is very high. And I can't say it's the highest, but it's probably up there. It's sometimes it's challenging when you look at the bigger picture things, when you look at, a school like Texas A&M or Citadel or VMI, or Virginia Tech, or, I went to Norwich. Those are very military centric schools, but for a private college, university, not college, a university, that's an extremely high number. And
I think it's awesome too, because I talk to a ton of veterans and they do the thing that TAPS tells you to do, go, use your GI Bill benefits to get a degree. And they go to these colleges to enroll, and some of them don't even have veteran support offices. And their life becomes this living hell because nobody understands them or what they're trying to do. And whoever's behind the desk, at least the stories I'm getting, I can't speak, and this is not a blanket statement, but the person behind the desk is not very helpful. They're pretty lazy and don't want to do their job. They can't communicate the process to the veteran, who has no idea what it is at 30 years old to go and enroll in school, you know what I mean, and take advantage of these benefits. So it's why I'm so high on IVMF and University of Syracuse, because just my experience in the 2 programs thus far has been amazing. And it's opened so many more doors for me too, and kind of turned my brain onto things I may not have known I was capable of, or just introduced me to things I may have never run into in my life. So I think it's just amazing, man. And now you guys are moving into, some more kind of tech certifications, if you will, right? With the announcement of, the Google cybersecurity stuff. And I don't know if I was supposed to mention the AI part of that or not. So I might have fucked up, but that's a phenomenal thing. I haven't had time to finish it yet. Most of what I've gone through, I'm a little advanced in the AI side. So but it's useful information. It's really good. So man, just whatever you want to talk about IVMF and what you think people should know. The whole point of doing this was, I talked to so many veterans who are like, IVMF, what is that? And I'm like, man, you have to know what this is, because it's just this plethora of amazing resources and knowledge and network at your fingertips.
Yeah. So, the great thing in the ODO program, Outward Opportunity Program, focuses on getting you into the credentialing world. So you got two aspects of increasing your portfolio, your resume. At some point you may be going for higher education, which is great. And the one thing I didn't throw in earlier is one of the great things that Syracuse picked up was they've gone to the tuition assistance rate for college credit. So any service members are out there that are looking at getting a degree through Syracuse, come in through our college professional studies, and you can use your TA, not even touching your GI Bill while you're still on active service, active duty, to get those initial credits knocked out. So then once you decide you want to go full bore, once you transition out, you got that tuition assistance rate. But on the credentialing assistance side, the ODO program is going to put you through a credentialing assistance. So you got two things. You got what are called certifications and certificates, right? So a certification is you do some academia. You depending on what the certification body is, you may have to take an exam and show some type of experience, or just take an exam. So we're gonna give you the curriculum. Once you get through the curriculum, we've got practice exams. You show that you're competent in the knowledge that you earned, and we're going to pay for an industrial certification. So you get guaranteed that just coming through the program. On the backside, you'll get continued access to our learning management system. So we use three main learning management systems. Skillsoft Percipio is one of our main ones. I'm the administrator on our Cisco Network Academy and our Coursera LMS, which is where our Google's our Coursera, and then we have a number of credentials on Cisco. In fact, I just got done with the meeting today. We just did a top to bottom review. We've got about 4 to 5 additional credentials we're going to be adding to our portfolio here in the next 6 months. And specifically, we got 2 or 3 AI ones that we're going over right now. Microsoft, CompTIA, and there's one of the other credentialing bodies that are releasing some certifying AI certificates. So we gotta, whenever they get released, we go through them ourselves. We evaluate them, look at what the cost is, and do a little quick cost-based analysis and see which ones make the most sense for our learners to use. So we anticipate getting those. Those will be released here probably in the next quarter or two, based off of the release rate. So
this is so cool, man. It's so cool because we spoke probably about a month ago now, and this new Google certification was like, you were so pumped about it. You were telling me, with hopes that we're going to be bringing on more and more and more. Now I hear that there's 4 more coming. And so where do you see this thing going? Do you just keep planning on adding programs and adding certifications and all of that?
Yeah, in fact, that was what, quarterly we go through a review process. We look at everything that's being offered, make sure that the curriculum is current. We got a couple that are starting to kind of get out of tolerance. So it doesn't make sense for folks to be utilizing curriculum that's out of date or isn't going to benefit them on the backside. So like I said, we just went through that curriculum review today, and yep, we continue to get funding, and we get feedback both from our learners, and then also we utilize our partners and our learning management systems to get the data that they use from their feedback. We got a great relationship with I said, Skillsoft Percipio. Most of our certifications are done through, you take your exams through Pearson VUE. So we have a relationship with Pearson VUE. We get, as I said before, one of the great things about having all the big brains up there is we got a whole wing of folks that help do the evaluation to say, okay, this is what the data is telling us. This is where we want to go. This is the best use of our resources to get to our constituents.
Well, I think it's amazing too, because you just said something that really caught my attention that I don't think a lot of other programs that exist out there are doing. Is you're taking the stuff that's no longer relevant and that's going to become a time waster and a resource waster, and you're nixing it to replace it with up to date, more modern things that are going to move you forward in your journey, no matter what direction you choose to go. And I think that's something that's often overlooked when people evaluate programs, is like, is this relevant today? It's why I'm so high on what you're bringing with AI, because I really do believe AI and business, the two paired, if you're not willing to implement AI and understand how AI works, congratulations, you no longer have a business. You know what I mean? Like it's just a reality. And we've had this conversation offline. And so I just think it's super important that you guys are doing and considering all angles, really. And I think that's just amazing, because a lot of programs aren't. A lot of programs are out there just trying to bring in money, skim off the top, help who, whatever's left, whatever, So like I said, as a beneficiary of, the Boots to Business Reboot and now EBV, I'm just so blown away at how organized, how smooth, how detailed, how, just structured and, all the information's there. You're not set up for failure. You're not left wondering or lost or anything like that. And it's been amazing, man.
Yeah. It's funny you said that, because I think I told you the quote. I went to an AI conference last fall, and there was this professor from Stanford. I was like, hey, I know there's still a lot of, smoke and mirrors, and people are all concerned about AI. The AI is going to take over the world. And she made a quote of, listen, AI is not going to take over what humans do, but humans that don't use AI are going to take over what humans that aren't using AI are doing, because it's going to make you more effective, efficient. It's going to make you more productive. If you're not using the tools that are available to you, you're going to fall by the wayside. So,
perfect example is that I used AI to teach myself HTML because I was tired of ConvertKit's templates and I wanted my own branded template. So I was like, how do I do this? I saw that they've got an HTML/CSS spot there. Let me go to an AI language model that's, coding is the thing now, right? So they're getting better at coding. I want to create this template, and it really made it easy for me to understand what was going on. I don't know, maybe I just learned that way, but this is what's possible. There's tools out there now where you can create a minimum viable product. If you want to develop a SaaS right now today, you could do it by the end of the day. And to your point, people who don't use AI are going to get replaced by people who deeply understand how to use AI.
Yeah, like I said, I find myself using AI more and more every day. I mean, I kind of joke before we did these launches, I maybe would go on one of the, and I don't just use one. Once you start learning about language models, I use them against each other to make the right answer. Right. So I got about 4 open in a browser all the time now. I'll go through the 3 of them and then I like to, and so yes.
Yes. We're on the same page, brother, for sure.
And because I give our AI, our IT essentials brief to our training service members, and I tell them, listen, if you aren't, at least you don't have, even if you're not going into an IT career field, if you don't have some basic IT skills, and if you haven't learned the tools and capabilities that are out there, you're going to fall behind. So you got to at least add some stuff to your portfolio. Be familiar with what what big data can do for you. Be familiar with cloud computing and how the cloud. I mean, those what they call the perfect storm. The 3 things that have made AI, what it is today is big data, right? So the cloud, the speed of chips, and the use of the internet and all the end user devices we have out there that's pulling all this data that gives those models the ability to sort through it all and give us what the most probable right answer is, right? It's not always right. So, you got to use a little critical thinking to go, what, that doesn't seem right. Let me dig a little further. Let me find the resources and what this model is actually telling you. Because like anything, what a lot of people don't realize is the folks that are writing the algorithms put some type of subjectivity into the code they're writing. So it's not going to be giving you the perfect answer, but it's going to be giving you a statistically what they think is the statistically right answer, right?
Well, and you also, I mean, you got to understand what it's a tool. It's not there to replace anything. It's just like money, right? Like money's not the answer to everything. It's just a tool to allow you to do more. So I love it, and I think this is the perfect time to move into the Google certificate that you guys are launching, because we're talking about AI and tech, and that's your world. And I really think this is really important for transitioning veterans this day and age. The tech sector is the future, period, end of story. So anything networking, anything cybersecurity, anything coding, software engineering, data engineering, you name it, AI, obviously, which is back to data engineering. This is the future. And there's a ton of money to be made, because I was looking at the whole new reg. Like, if you qualified for Montgomery GI Bill and used your post 9/11 GI Bill, you now get an extra year or whatever of GI Bill. And it's like, I'm looking at coding boot camps really seriously to invest that year of my GI Bill into, because I know it's going to further everything that I'm trying to do with my businesses and the podcast and, you know, all the veteran advocacy stuff. Like, it's so important. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Do you see it the same way that I do?
Oh, most definitely. I'm going to throw out one of my favorite resources, cyberseek.com. It's a private public partnership between NIST and NICE, the National Institute for Standards and Technology, and their National Institute for Cyber Education, which is a sub that they paired up with CompTIA and a couple other companies to put together this website that it's got a heat map that will show you all the cyber and IT jobs in the country. That is within about 90 days, but you can drill down and see what the job markets are. Last time I checked last week, 1.2 million cyber coded jobs under the NICE framework, and 450,000 advertised jobs available currently out there. So that's just the cyber industry. So the bottom line is, yeah, lot of opportunities there. The supply just isn't meeting the demand, which is one of the reasons why things curriculum like this Google Cybersecurity was created. So a little history. Historically, the cyber security, or the information security, what they used to call it, industry would rob Peter to pay Paul, right? So they would take those folks that were in the IT industry, whether networking, whatever, that wanted to kind of branch off to something else, and would pull them over. And they had already had that base understanding of, I always use the analogy, you can't protect a castle if you don't know how the castle works, right? So if you don't understand networking, or you don't understand coding, then you're not going to understand the tools that are used to help protect that infrastructure, right? So they used to always try to pull the people over, and there were really only what they call intermediate or associate level certification. So, everyone knows CompTIA Security Plus. That was usually kind of the first step that most people would take to get into the cybersecurity realm. Well, in the last couple of years, they figured out we're just not filling the funnel fast enough. So, Cisco, Google, AWS, IC Square all created entry-level cybersecurity certifications or certificates. Now, the thing is, they're pretty robust. So if you look at, for most of our certifications at the IVMF, a general certification is about 40 hours. 40 is the average. 40 to 70 hours is an average certification. When you start talking about the entry-level cyber, you're talking anywhere from 120 to 170 hours. Why? Because it's integrating that networking, those SIEM tools, all that, the risk analysis and so forth that you would learn in other courses to get you familiar with that, to get you ready to go into that entry-level cybersecurity job, where if you were coming from one of the other parts of the IT community, you'd have already had exposure to that and already understood it. So the great thing about this new program, this grant that we got, is it is very robust, because it is about 170 hours. Now, let's break it down. What does that mean for the working adult? Well, if you can commit 7 hours a week, right, an hour a day for 6 months, you're going to knock that course out. Yeah. It doesn't seem quite as overwhelming. Now, with that also being said, I've had transitioning service members that have finished it in 3 weeks. You know what? They're getting out. They're on transition leave. They're like, I'm just going to go 40 hours a week, knock it out, get it knocked out. The other great thing about this particular program is, on the backside of it, Google's going to give you a 30% discount voucher for your Security Plus. So if you're one of those folks that want to go and work for DoD and want to get that minimum certification level to get on a DoD network, whether it as a DoD employee or maybe as a subcontractor, you got to have that Security Plus to even get looked at to work on those networks. So they're going to give you a 30% discount. We're going to give you the access to our curriculum that we use for our normal Security Plus students to brush up. But I'll be honest with you, the Google certification certificate program is going to give you the 90% solution anyways. All we're going to do is we're going to give you access to that Security Plus curriculum, let you take some practice exams to feel good about it, and then you go use that 30% discount which is worth about $130 off of the certification. And you're going to have now a certificate and a certification to have you ready to move into the cybersecurity world. Or, you get your first job and then you just upskill it to move on to that next job within that company that you work for. So
leverage the company.
There you go.
So what is this cybersecurity course actually going to cover? Because cybersecurity in my mind is kind of a broad term. As somebody with no knowledge, or I don't even know if I'm interested in it, right? But looking at using, some GI Bill benefits and shit like that, it kind of makes sense, because I love the AI thing. I wanted to go into like the data engineering, which is more AI focused, but then I found out there's a lot of math involved in that I don't understand and I'm not ever going to understand. So looking to pivot, what does cybersecurity cover? What are you going to be working on? Can you kind of break that down for us?
Yeah, I can do that. So that's the first thing. I say everyone hears the word cybersecurity and they probably get a little gun shy.
I think McAfee, right? Like antivirus when I think cybersecurity, right? But I'm also almost 40 years old and haven't really started diving into deep technology and coding and stuff like that until now. So, it's no surprise that that's how I think of it.
And there's two aspects to it. To get in initially, it's really about learning the systems, the processes. They call them SIEM tools. There's a lot of tools out there that help you monitor the net. You're going to learn some basic languages. So you want to learn a little SQL, a little Python. Those are going to help you understand the backdrops to some of those tools. But it's not, you're going to have to be an expert. Now, what it gives you the opportunity to do is get your foot in the door, see which aspect of cybersecurity you want to go into, right? So, that particular certification is going to give you the background and experience to be a SOC analyst. So a SOC, Security Operations Center. So most companies, organizations will have a entity that does all the monitoring of their cybersecurity tools. So you have a network operations center. So those are the bubbas that are making sure all of the hardware and software, all your internet's working, all your computers working, all the connections, all that. So you got your NOC or your network operation. Then you got a SOC. A lot of places now have combined them into one entity. Why? Because they do a lot of their skills and systems overlap. So depending on what corporate company or you go with, you may be in a combined, but the bottom line is it's going to give you the skill set to understand those processes and then and then look at where you want to branch out. So do you want to be, when you start getting cybersecurity, just like in the Army, or the military, you got a blue team and a red team, right? So you got those folks that are the defenders, right? So they're going to be the blue team that are there. They're trying to protect the network. Once you understand the process, what they start doing is develop things that are called red teams. Actually, what they've now turned them into is purple teams, which are the combined teams. But the red team are the bubbles that are the penetration testers, right? So they're the ones that get in there and try to find the vulnerabilities and find where your system is broken before the bad guys do, right? And are able to get in and expose those vulnerabilities to use for whatever they want to use them for mostly bad things, right? To either steal data, to lock your systems up, to hold you ransom, and so forth. So
sign me up for that one. It sounds like a door kicker.
Well, it's kind of funny because I got two boys. They're both in cybersecurity. My youngest one's just like, I just want to be a penetration tester. I was like, these guys came in and told us about their company that comes in and they actually do this red teaming stuff where they come in, they find vulnerabilities and look at all the systems in a way that I was like, yep. You know what, son? I hear you. I used to do that at a different level when I was in the military, but that was actually one of my jobs when I was on the joint staff was doing penetration testing at the Department of Defense level. So it is exciting. But the great thing is this program will get you exposed to all those aspects of cybersecurity. Just give you a little taste, and then give you an idea where you want to go once you get into the field.
Hell yeah, man. Well, dude, this is really cool, man. I guess there's only one thing left to do, and that's kind of point people in the right direction. How can they apply to these programs? Where can they find all the information about these programs? How often are these programs running? When are they available? All that good stuff.
All right. All right, so let's start with a couple things. So IVMF, just like anything, come to our website, the Institute for Veterans Military Family. Specifically, you want to go into the outward opportunity aspect of the institute. So the way that O2O works, and I fall under the Google program falls under the construct. We run monthly cohorts. So for Google, if you're interested, I pretty much, if you get, so we run the Google program the second when we start the cohorts the second Wednesday of every month. So pretty much up until about a week before, we're accepting applications for that month. At the O2O level, we got a little bit more capacity or a little bit more supply and demand. We have about 1,000 learners a month coming through the O2O program. So we have a whole enrollment team that brings folks on. So for O2O, if you're looking at getting into the Outward Opportunity Program, so currently, especially if you're a transiting service member, you can take advantage of that program 180 days out. I would tell you want to get enrolled 2 months prior to that. So right now, our enrollment team right now is enrolling for April, right? So yeah, we have a lot of volume coming through. So what I'll tell you is get on a website, get your application in. Again, if you're a veteran, it doesn't matter when you do it, but for transition service members to take maximum advantage of that 180 days, which we are a skill bridge program, so we can only provide our services if you're on active duty for that last 6 months that you're transitioning out. Now, spouses, no time limit. You can do it at any time. But like I said, it's always those transition service members that tell you start early. My advice is start early and often. I was fortunate, I learned from the mistakes of many of my mentors that waited till the last 60 or 90 days, and they were sucking from a fire hose. And all I did was saw them pull their hair out the last couple months of transition. And what I did take away from that is they were like, listen, man, you need to start at 24 months. And then the DOD changed it for retiring people, retiring service members, so you can start 24 months out. You can get access to your transition assistance resources 24 months out. So you know what? 24 months out, I turned in my paperwork, and then I started tracking what, I was really fortunate that I retired out of the DC area. I had a number of installations. So I put Meade, Myers, Monroe, Belvoir, all of my radar scopes, and I just looked at all their TAP programs and looked at what they had to offer, and I put them on my schedule as I could fit them in. And over the 2 years, I sucked up as much of that transition assistance program, and that's where I kind of got a chance to see what some of the additional skill bridge programs were that were out there. So.
How competitive is the O2O thing? I know you say you're running monthly cohorts and all of that. How many spots do you have a month, and how many people are ending up on a waiting list when they apply? Are you putting people on waiting lists and rolling them to the next month, or how's that working?
It is not a waiting list, but as I said, if you come in if I fill out an application right now today, I'm going to get in April. Now, like anything else, if there's an emergency or say you're being med boarded. Right. Talk to our enrollment team. It's like anything else. We have a human in the loop. We're not AI. If we do have, like anything else, we have exception to policy. So if there's extenuating circumstances where you're down to your last 90 days, you just got med boarded and you want to get in, we can get you into a cohort that, starting, as I said, we start the second Wednesday of every month. They start a cohort. So, but our standard waiting process is we're recruiting about 2 months out right now.
Perfect, man. Brian, I really appreciate you reaching out and asking me to help you kind of create awareness around this program. I'm a big fan of IVMF. Obviously, I'm a user of your programs and couldn't be more thrilled with it. So I really appreciate your time today and coming to do this for the audience and for those veterans out there who may not be aware of it. I think these are the types of resources that should be, have more emphasis put on them, because these are amazing resources. I, again, really appreciate you being here. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Brian Ratliff, the program manager for Cyber Vets. That's it.
So I actually got a change in title. I came on board as a Cyber Vets program manager. I'm now the program manager for training and education. So
perfect. The promotion. He is the program manager for training and education. I misspoke.
That's okay.
Really appreciate you being here, Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, The next live transition talks we'll be having will be the guy who invented a really cool product that is saving veterans and first responders from severe migraines. His name's Joe. I'm going to mess up his last name, but Joe will be with us here in the next few weeks to talk about his temple massager and all the fun work he's doing. Got some MST stuff lined up here in the future, and I'm going to keep bringing you as much transition content as I can. I'm going to keep spreading this message until every veteran has an opportunity to transition better, because you don't need to do it the way that I did it, spend 8.5 years flailing around wanting to kill yourself, literally. So it's my pleasure to do these things and to keep meeting people like Brian and showcasing all the cool opportunities that are out there. I thank everybody for listening, and you can find us at thestrategicveteran.com for newsletter, podcast, community, all the resources that I'm collecting that are lesser known, like IVMF and stuff like that. So I encourage you to use those resources. Thanks again, Brian. Until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.